Hi everyone, Mike Mustafavis here. As I explained in my previous video, we are going to discuss join in the following examples. As I explained before, join is a clause in SQL Server that is used to combine rows from one or more tables based on the related fields. So here is a local database on my computer, and what I'm going to do is basically showing you tables within that database. As you see, when I expand this database, I'll see a lot of tables within that. So you notice that categories, for example, customer, and many other tables. What I want to do, I want to just expand one of them, which is called customers, and look at the columns within that specific table. So you notice that we have customer ID as a primary key, and then I have a company name, and I have contact names and other fields within that specific table. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to go back and basically close that and then find other related tables. Let me see if I remember that correctly. I think the other one should be orders, which is actually that one. So if I expand that one, we will see many other columns within this, including customer ID, which is basically a foreign key in this table. So that is the organization of these two related tables. So what I want to do, I want to show you the content of this order table and see what kind of data we got there. So just right click on that and then select the first 1,000 rows. So here is what you see. You see that we have order ID, we have customer ID, we have employee ID, order date, and other fields as you notice, address, shipping city, and other fields within the orders, right? So if I want to go back and look at the other one, which was actually customers, I'm going to do the same thing over there and look at the top 1,000 records within that. And you notice that customer ID, of course, is one of them, and then a company name and contact name and other information are included in this table as well. So now that we know there is actually a common field which connects these two tables together, and we know the nature of the data, we can easily create a query to combine fields from these two tables. So let's create a new query. The first thing that I want to do, I want to put just a comment and basically remind myself about what I am going to do here. So later on when I look at it, I remember exactly what is going on. Also, comment is useful for other people who are going to use this query in order to revise that, so they know exactly the intention of the programmer. A very simple one-line comment. So the first thing that we want to do is to reference the name of the database that we are going to use by using the keyword use. And of course, the name of the database is master. So we are basically referencing fields within these two tables by using select keyword. So you notice that I will reference the name of the table, which is customers in this case, and place a period, and then pick the name of the field, which in this case is company name, and then comma, and the next one is going to be customers and city. Put a period, and in this case a city. These two are coming from customers table, and I'm going to pick one from the orders table. So that should be basically orders first and then a period, and as you see, orders ID. You notice that, of course, they are shown as errors because I haven't really referenced the table name here. So from, as you see, customers, that's the table. And as soon as I pick that, those red lines should go away, but still you notice that the order ID is red. So I'm going to use join clause here in order to reference orders table. And as soon as I do that, you notice that order ID is clear now. Now I want to compare them, so I say that on orders, and then the name of the field is customer ID, and then compare that to customer ID from the other table, which is customers. So as soon as I do that, then I can basically run this query who have placed orders. And here is what they are. Now let me order them by customer ID. So that's the sorting actually would organize that a little better. So I am going to type order by. You have seen this before, I think on the first lecture materials. And of course, customers, that's the name of the table, and the field should be customer ID. And you notice that they will be organized different. Okay? Sorry. Okay. You don't need to highlight that. I do that as a habit. Okay, so you notice that now they are basically organized based on the customer ID. What I showed you was a local database. Now let's look at one database that is on the server, and you have access to that as well, and that is known as AP. Very similar to the local database. We are going to basically look at two tables here. One is invoices, and the other one is vendors. So we are going to compare these two tables, and you notice that we have vendors ID and invoice ID. So let me basically list the top 1000, and you notice that invoice ID and vendors ID are inside invoices. Okay, so let me close this one and then go to the other one, and you notice that right over here we also have a vendor ID. So that is the key that relates these two tables together. So I want to have a query fields from both tables. So here is what we are going to do. So let's use AP, that's the name of the database, and of course select vendors name. I would go with name first. Sorry, the computer is a little slow and not cooperative. Okay, and then vendors ID, and let's see, vendors city from vendors, and of course join that with invoice sales in this case, and the same thing that we did on vendors ID from one table is equal to vendors ID from the second table. And of course when we run that, it really shows what we have. Now let's order that by vendors name. Here it is. You may hear a term known as inner join. Inner join and join are exactly the same. So what I want to do, I want to just show that here and change basically join to inner join to show you that mainly there is no difference between these two. So when I run that, you really do not notice any difference. Exactly the same.